hands. They need to slow. You said that 4 days ago. Look, they're rusted through. It's an illusion. No, it's not.
I got the groceries.
Good. Maple soda? A cell phone full of candy? Astronaut bread?
It's the bread of astronauts.
Dad, I gave you a list.
Oh, yeah. You were way up. Hello, Lollipop Island. There's a little girl here who had too many Flower Paws.
Orphans are home. Oh, couldn't be better.
Marco!
Hello.
Marco!
Hello.
Marco!
Hello. So, Mom, you think you'll be getting out of there soon?
I don't know, honey. I've got a lot of therapy left.
I really thought I could handle this, but I think so too. Bye.
A lot of y'all think that your partners are little babies who don't know how to do anything, and the gag is a lot of your partners are manipulators who are using weaponized incompetence against y'all so that you can do the majority of the housework. And I'm telling you, on everything, weaponized incompetence is destroying y'all's relationship and is literally killing people. And I feel like it's time that we talk about it. Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to Ella Pastoral. If this is your first time ever coming upon this channel, welcome. Hi. On this channel, I talk about all of my favorite pieces of media and analyzing it through the social lens of a black woman. In today's video, we are going to be talking about weaponized incompetence, the way women have enabled it, how women have suffered from it. So if you are interested in a discussion on that topic, keep on watching. This video was able to be made thanks to all of my lovely Patreons that you are seeing on the screen. But let's talk about what weaponized incompetence really is. If you haven't been on the internet streets like I have, then you probably have no idea what the term weaponized incompetence is. When I made this community poll asking you guys what deep dive you guys would like to see next, a lot of you guys were like, hey, don't focus on this whole weaponized incompetence thing because it's only a thing that we see on social media, so there's no point in talking about it. And I'm here to tell you right now, that is a bold-faced lie. Weaponized incompetence has literally been a thing for literal years, but the internet has just given it a cool fancy name so we can all be on the same page. If you have watched any heterosexual couple TV show or sitcom in the last 70 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of weaponized incompetence. And for those who I know in the comments are gonna be like, no, I haven't because I don't watch TV. Look around in your own life and look at the dichotomy between any heterosexual male and female, older couple or even younger couple at this point, and tell me you're not seeing weaponized incompetence for yourself. Examples like Homer Simpson from the show known as The Simpsons, to Peter Griffin from the show The Family Guy, even non-cartoon examples like King of the Hill. Weaponized incompetence is literally everywhere. We can't escape it. But what exactly is the definition of weaponized incompetence? So according to the article Why Weaponized Incompetence Hurts Your Relationship by Sanjay Gupta, weaponized incompetence is when an individual consciously or unconsciously demonstrates helplessness in order to avoid certain tasks or responsibilities, resulting in others stepping in and doing the task for them, says Claudia De Luna, LMFT. When I was watching TV shows growing up, I didn't know what weaponized incompetence was. I would call this trope the dumb husband, angry wife trope, and I never understood why these wives were always so upset at their husbands. And now that I've hit the age where my brain is starting to really develop, I'm about to be 23 this year, I'm really understanding why these wives had all this anger inside of them, and literally they had every right to be angry because the stuff that these husbands were doing to their wives was literally insane. And if I was in a situation like that, I would have gone berserk years ago. But because it's a sitcom and because it's a cartoon, these wives haven't snapped. And in the real world, a lot of these women have started to snap exponentially. But sadly, it's not just the fictional women that are victims of this stupid weaponized incompetence nonsense. Real life women are suffering from it too, and it's a mess. If you had watched my video why I thought The Simpsons was black, you know I've been binge watching The Simpsons so hard. And I know The Simpsons is kind of like a non-serious show where even the plot points from like the beginning of the season don't keep up with the last bit of the season, right? But there was an episode that triggered me so bad that I was like, I have to do a video essay about weaponized incompetence and how it affects women and children, because what happened in that episode was madness. So practically what had happened was Homer found out that Marge had a separate bank account from him, and he was so devastated and angry at the fact that his wife was keeping money from him that he crashed. And this mythical elf, I want to say it was Lizzo who was voicing the elf, who knows, it's The Simpsons, you just have to go with the flow. They decide to go through the memories and figure out why Marge decided it was okay to have a separate bank account from Homer. We later find out that Marge's dad hated Homer and knew this man was an idiot. So when he died, he decided to practically give Marge a certain amount of money because Marge's father knew that being married to an idiot like Homer was going to be expensive. So he literally left his daughter money in the case that she would have to pay for his idiot schemes. And we see that this was money that could have really helped the Simpsons. This was money that could have put Lisa in a special program, put Maggie in a special school, put Bart into therapy. But no, Marge has to spend all of this special money that her father saved up for her, making sure that all of Homer's shenanigans are paid for. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say weaponized incompetence is dangerous, because he literally had such an attitude and literally almost killed himself because he was mad that his wife had a separate bank account. And the whole reason why his wife had a separate bank account was because he was so incompetent that he couldn't literally spend one day without destroying the town. And this is what is so frustrating, right? The episode ends on like a feel-good note about the importance of communication and not holding grudges in marriage. But what I got from the episode is being married to someone who is so incompetent, such as Homer, is literally worse than hell. Because not only is Marge suffering from this, I don't care, Marge decides to stay. The people who are victims of this weaponized incompetence are Marge, Lisa, and Maggie. And specifically Lisa. Lisa is literally so smart that we see that in the future episodes that she can become the president, right? But imagine the actual accomplishments that this young girl could do if she wasn't with a father like Homer Simpson. That man is such a menace that the town doesn't allow him to do his job as one of the nuclear energy techs because that's how stupid he is. Us, the daughters of fathers who use weaponized incompetence, and us, the eldest daughters of mothers who enable this behavior, suffer the most.
Time that we start checking in on the daughters of male weaponized incompetence dads. Same lack of consideration that they have towards their wives, they apply that same lack of consideration towards their daughters. A lot of these men, the reason that they perform or they just like, yeah, they do this thing of like male weaponized incompetence is because they feel entitled to women's time, effort, labor, attention, and they feel like they don't have to reciprocate because they're the center of the universe. So this same lack of consideration that they have towards their wives, they directed towards their daughters as well.
But another example of a woman who suffers from having a husband that uses weaponized incompetence has to be Lois Griffin. At least in the case of Homer, even though he is very much using weaponized incompetence because there's physically no way that he doesn't know how to do anything right, Homer at least loves Marge. In the case of the Griffins from Family Guy, there is no love between them. And to this day, I still don't know why Lois stays. He doesn't have money. He always is doing some nonsense and he cheats on her like crazy. But I digress. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that weaponized incompetence isn't just a new internet thing that people pulled out of their butt cheeks. It's been a thing for forever. It literally is a trope in our sitcoms. In fact, there was this TV show that I was watching recently based off a TikTok recommendation where they take the gritty reality of what it would be like to actually live with a man who never does anything right, never consults you on everything, is always doing those hilarious hijinks and shows the dark gritty side of it. Because guys, if you were in a relationship like Marge, like Lois, like this girl right here, right, from the sitcom, you would actually lose your mind because this is hell. Being in a relationship where someone uses weaponized incompetence against you is literally a death sentence. It's actually going to make your blood pressure go so high. It's going to make your cortisol levels go out of whack. It's going to stress you out, and stress kills. I don't care what no one says. Stress can kill you. Another example that I never really clocked as weaponized incompetence has to be from my time watching Zoe 101. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to bring up all of the examples of why weaponized incompetence is so real and how it isn't just in romantic relationships, but when it is in romantic relationship, it kills me. So in Zoe 101, we have this character named Logan Reese. If you guys don't remember watching the show or never watched the show for yourself, he is the titular rich boy, right? Entitled, golden spoon, even diamond spoon in his mouth. He's literally the worst. Because of the fact that he's literally a brat, his parents decide to cut him off from his money, and literally he is living like a beggar. Due to the fact that his parents did not raise him well, he doesn't know how to cook, clean, do anything. And his friends, I don't know why, they feel bad for him because he doesn't know how to take care of himself. So all of these people, his male friends, his female friends, all come together in order to try to teach him how to do normal things in order to live by himself without having his parents' money. But does Logan appreciate his friends for literally taking time out of their day to try to help him be a full functioning member of society? No. What Logan does is that he abuses his friends. He takes advantage of their kindness, and this is what weaponized incompetence really is. And what made me more mad is that eventually his parents decide to give him back his money. He doesn't tell his friends. He doesn't pay them back. He lets his friends continue to do all that free labor for him and literally decides to pocket his money that before he would have used to get a cleaner or cook, all of that. and that is weaponized incompetence. It's insidious. It's not you not knowing how to do stuff, because the people who help you, may it be your girlfriend, your friend, literally anybody can become a victim of someone who uses weaponized incompetence. It literally is about using someone's free labor, being unappreciative, and practically trying to get one up on someone. But in the case of Zoe 101, the people who were getting taken advantage of were both men and female. But when we talk about the real world and we talk about the unpaid, unappreciated labor of people, sadly, and I know y'all gonna look at me sideways in the comments, most of that unpaid, unappreciated labor befalls women. According to the article, Good Housekeeping, Great Expectations, Gender and Housework Norms by Sarah Tabood and others, gender structures the bargaining process in that women's resources influence their own time but have a weaker impact on their male partners' allocations. When men and women bring similar financial resources to bear, women do more housework in the majority of families. This finding is inconsistent with a gender-neutral, rational economic model in which partners presumably bargain their way out of doing housework based on individually held resources. In some nets of resources, persistent gender divisions of housework remain. And that's why whenever I go into my timeline and I see all of these stupid conversations about 50-50 and splitting bills, especially when they come from the point of view of men, I just roll my eyes and scroll, because until men are willing and able and at a large scale doing the household chores and splitting the bills with women, it's never going to be 50-50 or 100 or 100 like people like to say, because if I'm paying the bills, right, I'm splitting the bills 50-50 with you, but I'm doing 90% of the household chores, that's not 50-50. That's me getting screwed. And I just don't believe in that, because, that doesn't make any sense. But a lot of men don't consider all of the silent labor that women do as something worthy of respect. And that's why a lot of y'all's relationships are in hell and y'all consistently get on social media to complain. And as an African daughter who literally has a father that uses weaponized incompetence, I'm telling you, it literally does nothing but make you not respect the person, because you understand a child faking not understanding doing something in order to get away with not doing it. But once you hit a certain age, you got to start looking like you are grown. You need to be helping, because there's no way you're gonna be like, I don't know how to sweep. It's not rocket science. I don't know how to wash dishes. It's not rocket science. Let me give you an example that caused me to lose respect for my father and my mother. So during the big C, you know what I'm talking about, the big C, right? I got sick with COVID because my mother got sick with COVID, and I literally spent all of my days helping her recover because my father wouldn't. Literally, me and my brother and my mother got sick with COVID because I was helping my mother and my brother was helping me help my mother, and we all got sick with COVID, right? My father decided to quarantine in the basement, right? And at this time, my grandfather, who was like one of my favorite family members, he died of COVID as well in Ghana, right? So I'm sick and I'm mourning, right? You would think, damn, like, because of the fact that my daughter is going through all of this stuff, let me give her a break. During this time while my father was quarantining in the basement, instead of learning to clean up after himself, because, you know, he's a grown man, my father will call me because, you know, I have a phone, and he would literally be like, I need you to come downstairs and clean the toilet for me. Huh? What? I'm like, I'm not doing that. There's literally a toilet bowl brush and like the cleaning supplies literally in the bathroom, because in the basement we have this gigantic couch and we have a bathroom with a shower and a sink. It's like a full bathroom, right? And I was really looking at him like, you want me to come downstairs while I have COVID and I'm grieving the loss of my grandfather to clean up the toilet for you? And he was like, yeah, I can't do it. The last time I checked, God gave you arms, God gave you legs. What do you mean you can't do it? And what really pissed me off and let me know that women are just as equally responsible for weaponized incompetence is when my mother got out of her sick bed, right? Mind you, she was actually suffering from COVID. She was one of the people who were like sick, right? She and my father decided to go into the kitchen and have a family meeting about how disrespectful I was for refusing to clean the bathroom for my father, even though I was sick with COVID and he wasn't. The only reason he wasn't sick was because he wasn't helping my mom get better, because I was. And so I was just looking at these two like, Like, I don't know if y'all play The Sims like I play The Sims, but when you have a nasty conversation with someone, you literally get the little pop-up that sees the relationship bar go lower and lower. And that is what happened to me at that exact moment. Because literally in no universe should that have been a thing that happened to me. And that's why whenever people ask me how my relationship is with my parents, this, that, and the fourth, I literally just have to sigh and say, there is no relationship, because that is how my life is. Guys, I was sick with COVID. He wasn't sick with COVID, but he wanted me to clean the toilet because he couldn't. And that's why whenever y'all get on social media and complain about your trash partners, I have to be like, guys, it's a mess.
My son and I got COVID while my husband somehow managed to avoid it. So we isolated on the top floor. The kitchen is so much worse than I could have imagined. I don't even want to look in the sink. A huge part of me knows how bad it's going to be because the entire kitchen smells like vinegar. That means there's rotting food hidden somewhere.
And I don't even know if I'm more mad at my mother, who was raised in this patriarchal way of thinking, or my father. But at this point, I hold them equally accountable, because if I lived in a better universe or a better timeline, my mom would have been like, no, you're grown, do it. But due to the patriarchy and these very toxic African restrictions that we were both raised under, but my mother sadly perpetuates, check out my Black women and feminine rage video that I made. I dived into this nonsense more, but I just feel like women also play a gigantic part enabling weaponized incompetence, and I see this so often. According to the article that can be found on oxfam.org, women and girls bear a heavy and unequal responsibility when it comes to unpaid care work, contributing more than 3/4 of it globally and representing 2/3 of paid care workforce. Every day they dedicate 12.5 billion hours to unpaid care work, which, if valued at minimum wage, would contribute at least 10.8 trillion a year to the global economy, over triple the size of the global tech industry. This burden is particularly heavy in low-income countries where women in rural areas can spend up to 14 hours a day on unpaid care work. Globally, 42% of women are unable to secure jobs due to their caregiving responsibilities, compared to only 6% of men. Furthermore, of the world's 67 million domestic workers, who contribute 80% women, 90% lack access to Social Security, and over half have no limit on their weekly working hours. Despite laying the foundation for a thriving society, this unpaid and underpaid care work remains largely invisible and unrecognized. And that's why I really get so triggered when y'all come onto the internet and post these videos of your husbands. But what really pisses me off is the boyfriend videos, because you have no attachment to that man to be letting this nonsense happen. And y'all just be posting them not being able to do basic human chores, like not knowing how to clean, sweep. I understand cooking, but I'm just like, if a woman wasn't in your life, how would you be living? You mean to tell me if there wasn't a woman in your life right now, you didn't have a mother to leech off of, you didn't have a sister to leech off, you didn't have a romantic partner to leech off, you'd have 80 pounds of dishes, doo-doo stains on the floor, rats doing the nay-nay, roaches kissing on you?
So I just got back from the store, and my husband goes, "Did you enjoy your time? That was the other half to my Christmas gift." I'm like, "Where? What is it?"
I babysit for hours.
He says, "Freedom. You were gone for 2 hours and I babysat.
By
Your gift was
yourself.
freedom. Baby, I love you," and he kissed me.
I was home with the baby. The greatest gift of all for a mother. I love you. I love you too.
First, it was the video of that lady taking 6 hours to unwrap her gift because her husband hated her that much. Now, your man is talking about he's babysitting his own child. How are men babysitting their own kids? And then y'all want to be like, oh my God, it's just a little jokey joke. Oh my God. Y'all continue to share y'all business on the internet and be mad when people have opinions. Your man at his big old age talking about he babysitting his own child for 2 hours and that's your Christmas gift. These men are not going to say the quiet part out loud. They hate y'all. But it's cheaper to keep her. We all know that, right? There's no way that she go to the store, you babysit, and that's her Christmas gift. And she's laughing because she's embarrassed. This is for women. How many more times y'all have to keep making excuses for the weaponized incompetence? Them forgetting anniversaries, birthdays, taking care of their kids, all of that other stuff. Before y'all actually pack it up and leave. Women have been conditioned to be ride or dies for so long, I keep telling y'all this, that they will quite literally do anything to keep a man by their side at night. Babysitting a baby for 2 hours, Let us not forget the man that was asking his wife to come feed the baby after she had just had a baby and a C-section and she was still doing laundry. Babes, he hates you. Leave. And y'all got y'all man talking about, don't listen to them, they just bitter. They looking for a mother, not a wife or a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever y'all may call it. It ain't nothing funny about these men treating y'all like somebody off the street, but claiming to love y'all as a wife, girlfriend, you know, mother of their child, whatever the case is. They are embarrassing y'all on the internet and y'all kikiing. But really, in a couple years, you probably gonna be sliding down the wall. All of us ain't bitter. Leave while you can.
I refuse to believe y'all living like that. But then I also remember how frat houses look like. Like when my friends used to go clubbing and partying with these frat boys, they would send me the pictures of the bathrooms there. I just refuse to believe y'all are living like that. Like, fear roaches, fear mice, fear the dirt. But I just believe that you don't have to suffer with a person who is like that, especially in romantic relationships. Because if your roommate was this dirty and this unable to do basic household chores like doing dishes and sweeping, you wouldn't be trying to justify it saying like, you know, they're silly. You would get a new roommate. And that's how I felt like watching these couple TikToks, because your husband, and even worse, your boyfriend, doesn't know how to be a basic human.
When I have to send my husband to the store.
So the first time that my mom ever asked me to wash the dishes, because when I was growing up we didn't have a dishwasher, I told my little brother that I had a strategy. And that strategy was that I would do such a bad job that she would never ask me to do it again. My little brother then went on to tell my mother, and so that failed horribly. But the point here is that I was faking incompetence, which is almost certainly what the husband in this video is doing. And there is a name for it. Well, there are two names: weaponized incompetence or strategic incompetence. And they both describe the same phenomenon where you pretend to be bad at something so that somebody else will do it for you. And what this video very effectively and very unfortunately demonstrates is that it creates a lot of extra labor for everyone else. Just stop this shit, guys.
Now I want to specifically get into the section of my video about women as enablers. Like with all systems of oppression, in order to maintain these systems, there need to be people who uplift the system, even if it's at their own detriment. And women are definitely playing a gigantic role in upholding the patriarchy that oppresses both women and men. Like I said with my own testimony about how my mother enabled my father to try to force me to clean after him, even though he's a fully healthy, capable man, there are women who also enable men in their outer circle and even inner circle to be lazy bums that the rest of us sadly have to deal with. And if we are being so serious, all of this indoctrination of forcing women to be coddlers of men starts at a very young age, and I even talked about it in my Black Women and Feminine Rage video, because all of that socialization begins at a young age. And I really feel like that is why we as women are seen as being responsible for cooking and cleaning, and that's also why we have a higher single mother population than a single father population, because society literally grooms young women that it is literally us who are made to clean and take care of children. Like, I remember before I started filming, I was watching some YouTube videos, right? And literally there was an ad for soap, guys. Basic soap, we all need to wash our hands. And the tagline was like, aren't moms great? And it was literally a mom taking care of a kid who threw a toy in the toilet. But how often would you see a commercial targeting dads, talking about some aren't dads great, trying to get them to buy soap? Literally, the socialization is everywhere we see. But I can only really talk about my experience as a Ghanaian American, because in the Ghanaian community, we are still having those very toxic, detrimental, traditional roles, but are somehow still doing 50-50, where the women are expected to pay 50% of the bills and do 100% of everything. So it really be given like 150-50. Like, it doesn't make any sense for these Ghanaian women to uphold these toxic patriarchal standards, but they still do, and they teach it to their daughters. Like, nothing makes me more mad about the Ghanaian community that you'll have random aunties come up to you and tell you that you need to learn how to cook and clean, or else no one will marry you, practically insinuating that you have no worth if you don't know how to cook and clean. But then when you look at their useless son and you look at their nasty room and you look at how they carry themselves, I have to be like, yo auntie, you worried about me, but your son is an incapable human being. And that's where I'm talking about weaponized incompetence and how women enable it. And I literally know men from the Ghanaian community who have no basic life skills, because they're like, why should I learn how to cook and clean when I'm going to get a wife to do all of that? And that's because they heard that stupid nonsense from their mothers. And now the rest of us have to suffer in the dating pool because their mothers refuse to teach their sons how to be proper human beings. And that's what I'm talking about when I say weaponized incompetence is killing us. Because what do you mean you don't know how to cook and clean? How? Sway, what if something happens to your wife? Is everybody going to be living in a pigsty and starving? I beg, let's be serious. According to the article, How Mothers Enable Their Problematic Sons, Jasmine Denise talks about the many ways women, from wives to mother, can enable the men in their life. 1. Acting as his personal ATM. Another way that some moms enable their sons is by acting as a 24-hour ATM. While there's nothing wrong with parents providing their kids with financial assistance, there comes a point when the consistent handing over of money begins to cripple a person. It can be difficult to function as a fully independent adult when you've become financially dependent on a parent. Second, encouraging the woman in his life to accept his poor behavior. Enabling moms are not above inserting themselves into the relationships of their son. If she's not busy trying to remind her son's significant other that she's the number one woman in his life, she's trying to convince her that she should accept his trash behavior because you know how men are. 3. Tolerating disrespect. Moms who accept disrespect from their sons act as a precedent. They teach their sons that it is acceptable to disrespect women, and the cycle continues. They go out into the world refusing to respect boundaries because they've been taught by one of the most important women in their lives that they don't have to. 4th, doing things for him that adults should do themselves. There's nothing wrong with a mom who loves on her son. However, enabling moms are infamous for coddling their sons in ways that lead to codependency. Further, they enter relationships expecting the same treatment from their partners because they've been taught that certain things are a woman's job. Regular cooking, cleaning, laundry, and scheduling doctor's appointments are all tasks that fully grown adults should be capable of doing for themselves. And this is what I'm talking about when I say weaponized incompetence is literally the worst, because it perpetuates so much nonsense. And even when women are strong enough to leave their toxic partners, there is going to be another woman who fulfills some type of role in their life. It's such a mess. And it literally is so annoying and frustrating to see this over and over, especially when you are surrounded by people like this. I mean, like I said, in the Ghanaian community, women don't raise their sons to be full-fledged humans, and eventually they grow up and these are supposed to be the people that we date. At least if you're straight, and I'm straight, so I'm like, Jesus Christ, hell no. I don't play that. That's insanity. But there is a specific type of woman enablers that I want to talk about in this video, and it has to be those TikTok ladies, because those ladies are so frustrating. Nothing is more embarrassing for these women to film their disgusting husbands, post about it on the internet, and then when the entire internet is like, girl, you have a child as a husband, instead of having 2 kids, you have 3, and one is 45. And then when we say that, the women are like, you guys don't know my husband like I do. So what if he never cleans or cooks or helps me with the kids? He does stuff, he does. And I'm just like, then why would you post this embarrassing video of your husband for him to get shamed on the internet?
Hey, can you wash the potatoes on the counter?
Yeah. Hey, this palm olive is good to wash your potatoes, right?
Oh my gosh, Brandon, you're supposed to use water, not soap. You just go in there and sit down and I'll take care of this.
Weaponized incompetence. Trying to call this comedy is making light of an issue that is serious. There is a stress gap between men and women. Compared to men, women are twice as likely to suffer from severe stress and anxiety. Married women do more housework than married men. When men and women marry each other, even if there are no kids in the picture, women do more housework than their partners, on average. Yes, even when they make the same as or more than their male partners. The only time you see that average shift is when women are the sole providers. And it's like this much, he does a little bit more. Men have more free time than their wives. Even among teenagers, boys are spending more time on leisure than girls. Why isn't weaponized incompetence funny? Because it's oppressive. Because failing to do a good job on purpose makes you seem unreliable. Failing to do a good job on purpose is opting in to breaking their trust. It's setting up a situation without their consent to demand their time and energy. Your failure to put in a good faith effort leaves them no other choice but to overcompensate for you. When you use weaponized incompetence, you put your needs and interests above theirs. You remove their autonomy and choice. You take their time and energy and access to opportunities without their consent. Not funny.
And they do it over and over and over again. And after a while, I just feel like there is no sympathy from me for these women, because if you don't want to leave them, and you're not going to hold him accountable to get the stuff done, then why are you posting this for? Because the continual cycle of women trying to look for support from other women instead of looking at their partners that they chose to couple up with for support always gets me, because that's the partner you chose. And that makes me so frustrated, because women have so much rights now. This isn't the day of ye old times where women weren't allowed to have a bank account. And it literally is so disgusting to see, because why y'all doing that? There is one creator on TikTok who I really love. Her name is like ceclina, Regina, and she does a good job at holding both men and women accountable for this nonsense, because there's no reason why you are looking to the internet for support when the partner that you chose to couple with, get married to, live with, clean up after, have children with, but you're looking at us for support and not that person. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you try to give them support on how to leave these toxic relationships and live a life that they want, and they get mad at you. At this point, I'm like, sis, delete your TikTok. No one cares. Because if you give someone advice and they're like, no, I'm going to continue to do this toxic nonsense, then what was the point of asking for advice? It's not funny, it's not cute. We're all looking at you like you need help. Delete the TikTok.
But what do you want us to say when you post about your terrible man?
These women are looking for one of three things. The first and the most common is they want to hear that you've been through this too. Your man used to act exactly like that, but here's a magic trick you did and it turned him into a wonderful guy and a great provider. They want to know what the secret sauce is. They see a good man and they have to believe, oh, he used to be a horrible troglodyte just like mine, but there's something I can do for him that I'm not doing that's going to turn him into a decent person. The second group of women is looking for some kind of resource. Whether it's your sympathy, whether it's your listening ear, whether it's your encouragement, whether it's your money, something that she doesn't get from her partner. So she posts this horrible thing about your partner, her partner, and you go running up to her saying, oh my God, you deserve so much better, queen. This is validation she's not getting at home, and she doesn't intend to leave. So she says, I'm going to get that validation from you. And after thousands of people pour balm into that wound and tell this woman how strong and beautiful she is, how she deserves more, how they would give her the world, she says, thank you. And she uses that empowerment to stay with this no good man for another 10 years. I was so exhausted of being treated like that. And now, thanks to you, I am rested and refreshed. But the third thing, and I think the most common thing that women are looking for when they post these kinds of stories about their terrible man, is some kind of leverage. You ever been in those groups? Oh, are we dating the same man or whatever? And a woman comes in asking the most pointed questions in the world. Oh, does anybody here know a DeMarcus with a beard and he's a Leo and he works at UPS? And, list the list down, and all these women respond, and they go to each woman and they ask her the most specific questions on earth. She's not doing all that because she intends to leave, babe. She's doing that because she wants the leverage that you're going to give her by giving her all your information. You give her the tea about DeMarcus or Chad, Raheem or Jorge, and she's going to use that to run right back to her man and emotionally blackmail him into doing something that she's been wanting him to do for a long time. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine found out that she was a side chick. I don't blame her for not knowing. The guy, had lied to her. And he had never publicly claimed the girlfriend, which is why she didn't know about the girlfriend. So she finds the other girl's information, the actual girlfriend, and she tells her all the tea, sends her all the screenshots. And nobody could have been more grateful than this young lady. I mean, she was so effusively grateful to my friend. Only for the next day, the guy who had deceived them both had up a brand new profile that he was sharing with his girlfriend, where he was finally claiming her publicly. The girlfriend never intended to leave. She just wanted to use her knowledge against the guy to make him do what she had always wanted, which was claim her publicly. So you threaten to expose his bad behavior. You act so shocked and so hurt. Oh, the internet says you're this, that, and the third. And he says, oh, now, wait a minute. What is it that you want? Everybody in the world is saying I'm such a jerk. I have to prove that I'm not. Oh, okay, I'll give you the thing you've been asking me for. Now run back and tell them what a good guy I am. And she smiles and says, mission accomplished. Sometimes people pretend to be so hurt and confused over something that they've been through a million times before because it's the advantageous moment to reveal it. That woman who just busted her husband and the mistress in the airport. Did y'all see her court documents just dropped? She's filed for divorce. And in the divorce papers, are you ready? She alleges with proof that he has had over 60 affairs. So did she make that set of videos because she was so broken up about him having this mistress and all that he spent on her or whatever? She says he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars per year on a bunch of different women. And she's known about it all the time. But by posting that story, what did she get? TikTok fame, probably made some money off it if she got monetized. She certainly has enough followers. Got to spin the narrative in her favor for, her children and whoever else in her family that's watching. And I'm not hating, just in case she sees this, hey, play that game how you got to play that game. I'm just saying, a lot of times we're looking at these situations at face value, saying, what are these women looking to gain? Because we're thinking one-dimensionally. We're thinking, okay, she showed us a bad portrait of her man. We're all telling her he's a bad person. Obviously, you're going to want to leave. But what she showed you isn't news to her. She already lived it a bunch more times than was on the video. She knows he's a bad man. Doesn't need our help deciphering it. The question is, why does she want us to know he's a bad man? And if you look at the follow-up actions to all of these different scenarios, you'll see exactly what these women wanted. But 9 times out of 10, help leaving is not what they're looking for. All right then, like and follow for more.
And I just believe that it's such a mess because I genuinely believe in the principle, treat others how you want to be treated. And people who use weaponized incompetence against their partners, they don't do that. And I genuinely believe that everybody, men, women, NBs, everybody in between, the agender folks, right? Everyone deserves to have a partner that loves and respects them. But there is no respect if your partner uses weaponized incompetence against you. And another issue that I've seen in the comments whenever women specifically talk about how men use weaponized incompetence against them, men will be like, well, my wife doesn't know how to change her oil. My wife doesn't know how to change a tire. And I literally have to look at these individuals like, okay, teacher, okay? But in terms of household chores, like washing the dishes and taking out the trash and like cleaning, you do that quite frequently. You do tasks like that daily, weekly. It has a high frequency, right? Versus changing the tires. If you don't change your tires, changing your tires is something you do on a yearly basis versus something like washing the dishes that as long as you eat is a daily thing.
If she did the dishes as often as you have to take the car in for an oil change, you would have colonies of mold growing in your kitchen. Because when we're talking about weaponized incompetence used as a tactic to get out of doing one's fair share of household labor, we're talking about tasks that are day in and day out, the never-ending conveyor belt of chores that need to be done to maintain the home. And far too often, the bulk of the mental load that is required to keep that conveyor belt running smoothly, that falls on the woman. And it becomes even more unfair because men will use weaponized incompetence to pretend that they cannot do these simple tasks up to a reasonable standard. It's not about doing things perfectly. Like, there's no perfect way to load the dishwasher. However, there are objectively wrong ways to do it, such as putting all the mugs and bowls facing up towards the ceiling so that they get full of like grimy water, using Dawn instead of like dishwasher detergent, putting a cast iron in there. Like, all of these things would be weaponized incompetence because that's not a difficult chore. You're doing it wrong on purpose to get out of doing it next time. That being said, we got this comment a bunch of times from men saying, oh, women use weaponized incompetence to get out of helping out with vehicle maintenance. If you need help with vehicle maintenance, talk to her. She can learn. She is also an adult. However, you do have to acknowledge that the few times a year that you need to do something to maintain the car, that doesn't really compare to the 24/7 household management that too often falls on women. And if you don't believe me that it is 24/7, maybe that's because she's doing it for you, you know?
And this is another part of weaponized incompetence that really gets me, and it's the continual gaslighting that women face. Because you know for a fact if your wife stopped doing the dishes and you stopped changing the tire, you know who's going to start feeling more of the burden, and it's going to be your wife who does the daily things of cleaning and cooking versus you who changes the tires. And if you're really mad that your wife really has you changing the tires and changing the oil, which I promise is a yearly thing, y'all can go to a mechanic. For the men who complain about weaponized incompetence and are tired of their wives talking about it, I never hear one of them saying, I'm gonna go get a nanny. I never hear one of them in all of the comment sections that I've seen in like the 3 months that I've been getting my sources for this video say, I'm gonna go get a nanny for my wife to help her. I'm never gonna get a maid in order to help my wife. And that's because men know that this stuff is important, but they don't value it as worth their money. Because if you really want to hear your wife stop complaining about you not helping with the cooking and the cleaning and the child rearing, then you could get a nanny or a maid. But no, they believe that it's their wife's job or their girlfriend's job to suffer. And I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna be putting proof in the comments, but a lot of men actually believe this. And that's why I'm telling y'all, weaponized incompetence is killing us and destroying a lot of the relationships we're in.
Of course I can do it myself. I'm a woman. If I gotta do everything myself, why are you here? What are you doing in my house where I do every single task? What is your purpose? If you're not with me to ease my burdens, lighten my load, make my life easier, you're just sucking the life out of me. Because men aren't with women to love them and to make their lives easier or better. Men are with women for the benefits of being with a woman. No matter what a woman does, it's never gonna be enough because you don't like women. I don't want someone to treat me well because I have high self-esteem. I want someone to treat me well because they see me as someone deserving of good treatment. People show you how they feel about you by how they treat you. But if we are dating, you are my partner. I am not your mother. You're not my child. Why am I doing everything myself? Again, what do you bring to the table? It's not sex. We know men don't know how to have sex. Men are bums. Men are losers. They're literally telling you how they feel about you. In conclusion, I will do it myself because I've always done it for myself because I'm not a bum-ass male. That being said, if I'm doing everything myself like I was when I was single, I'm going back to being single and we're done. Thank you. Good night.
And yeah, I don't want to end this video on a negative note. I really want the women watching this, because this is definitely for the women, because women are the more likely victims of weaponized incompetence. You don't have to be with a partner that doesn't do anything and likes to act like washing the dishes is akin to doing biosurgery or learning how to do physics. I promise you, you don't have to suffer through that. We live in a world where women are able to own bank accounts, go to work, get their own money. It doesn't have to be like the 1940s where if you had a terrible partner, you had to stay and no one could help you. The world is your oysters. And I'm going to be putting in the description box a lot of resources you can use if you are a battered woman or if you're a woman in a toxic relationship, because I really believe that this is 2024. We still have rights. I don't know what's going to happen after the 2024 presidential election, but for right now, we have enough rights in order to leave these toxic relationships. And so here are some of the tips that I believe can help if you still want to be in your relationship and your partner still has some type of sense. And I'm just going to read this article on ways to mitigate weaponized incompetence in your relationship, whether it be romantic or platonic or with your friends, with your parents, because I feel like no one deserves to be gaslit like I have. And everybody deserves to be in relationships with people who at the bare minimum respect them. According to the article 7 Signs of Weaponized Incompetence in Relationships and How to Deal with It by Julie Nguyen, these actions perpetuate a flawed dynamic in the relationship. By feigning mediocrity, the incompetent partner actively shows they aren't genuine in their attempts to be better or do better. Meanwhile, the other partner is forced to step up and take over those tasks, creating resentment because they feel unseen and taken for granted. Open communication and setting boundaries will be key in addressing and dealing with weaponized incompetence in a romantic relationship, she says. Delegation and setting up clear and agreed upon standards will ensure that both partners are taking ownership a specific task and that responsibilities are balanced and equal. So in conclusion, weaponized incompetence is a prevalent issue that we see all around us in various forms of media and sadly in real life relationships too. It's a very harmful behavior that gaslights people, and it's often men no tea, no shade, no tea, no shade, who feign ignorance in order to get one up on their female partners. And I just feel like with us encouraging people to call out this nonsense, recognizing damaging patterns, and encouraging open communications, we can get to a point where y'all don't have to be in these toxic relationships. And yeah, that is all I have to say on the topic. I've been wanting to talk about weaponized incompetence on this channel for so long. Y'all don't even know. And I'm glad I finally got my piece on it. Now I can finally be free like how I want y'all to be. Let me know if you heard of weaponized incompetence before this video, or if you knew what weaponized incompetence was before like the internet gave it a name. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up on this video. It really helps push the video in the algorithm. Subscribe if you want more of these societal deep dive videos on this channel. Comments, y'all know I reply to almost every comment. Don't be messy, because YouTube definitely hides the problematic comments for me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.